Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help mental health professionals grow their dream practices and live a life they love. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building tips. We invite you to take advantage of our private practice paperwork and our signature marketing e-course. And we have a gift for you. This is the exact methodology we use to create our six-figure private pay practices and have helped many other therapists do the same. Go to privatepracticestartup.com and on the homepage, click the button to download a free copy of your dream private practice playbook. Now on to today's episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. We are glad you're here. Last time we talked about how to avoid the top mistakes that clinicians make when on the intake call with new clients. And today we're doing part 2. Kate and I are going to be chatting with you on how to master the intake call with new clients. So mistakes, part 1, how to master this, part 2. So I think we should just kind of dive right in. And if you missed the mistakes, definitely go back and check that out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to acknowledge that as therapists, you are primed to be really, really successful at marketing and navigating these sales calls when potential clients call. You have all of the skills that are vital for this, and you practice them every single day as a therapist. You know how to join with people. You know how to validate their pain, empathize with them. You know how to reframe their problem-saturated story to help them identify what their goals are. You know how to summarize, right? And pull from their content-ridden information the highlights and categories that they actually want to work on in a way that makes them say, yes, 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 yes. You are the person that I want to work with. So we just want to set the stage to let you all know that you have all of the skills that you need to do an amazing job at successfully navigating these intake calls.
So true, Kate. I'm so glad that you shared that because I know we talk about all that all the time, but it's important to really point those out and take that and apply it to different contexts like an intake call or marketing. And that's what Kate and I love really to show you how to do. So let's talk about how to be successful on the intake call. So number 1 is take control of that conversation right away. Do not let the caller be the one to, guide the conversation because they won't find as much value if they're asking all the questions. So it's really important that you ask the questions. And one of the things that we talk about is doing something called the pattern interrupt, right? So we're primed as consumers to call somebody and say, hi, I was just calling to find out about X, Y, and Z, right? And now we're running the call. So a really easy way to interrupt that pattern is to answer the phone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with? So you just ask them a question, which actually makes them have to think and now answer your question. And it also slows the conversation down and helps prevent them from just firing a ton of questions right at your way. And, eventually it's slipping in, how much does it cost? What insurance? When can I see you? So we want to slow the conversation right down. And if they ask those questions, that's okay. You can say, I'd be happy to answer that, but I would love to understand a little bit about why you're calling first, right? So when I do say, good morning, who I have the pleasure of speaking with, they might say, Perry. I'd say, hey, Perry, it's really nice to meet you, talk with you, whatever. What services are you calling about today? So number 1, if you're a solopreneur, cool. If you're a group practice owner, cool. Same question. Why? Because who knows? Maybe if you're a solopreneur, they got your information on an old link somewhere and they're calling to see if you work with, do play therapy with young children. And maybe you don't do that anymore, right? So it's quick and easy to ask what services they're calling about today to assure that you're the right person, because otherwise you can refer them out. Or you're a group practice owner and you're trying to find the right clinician to pair that person with. So that's how we want to pattern interrupt the initial part of the call and begin to take control over it.
And sometimes people don't know the terms. They haven't done a lot of research. They haven't seen therapists before. So they might say, yes, I'm just calling because I need to schedule therapy. So you can kind of help them and say, okay, well, tell me a little bit more about what specific type of service are you looking for? Are you looking for individual counseling or couples counseling, family counseling? So you help them to kind of clarify that. And speaking of pattern interrupt, let's take a quick break for our sponsor, and then we'll dive into the next aspect here.
If you're a private practice owner, this is for you. Running a business is just plain hard. Endless to-do list, employees to take care of, and your ever-present bottom line. So first of all, kudos to you for staying on top of it. I'm going to tell you about Gusto. Gusto built an easier and more affordable way to manage payroll, benefits, and more. They help over 100,000 businesses with tasks like automated payroll tax filing, simple direct deposits, free health insurance administration, 401ks, onboarding tools, you name it, Gusto made it easy. And they really care about the small business owners they work with. Their support team is attentive and helpful. And since money can be tight right now, you'll even get 3 months free once you run your first payroll. Just go to gusto.com/PPS and start setting up your business today. You'll see what I mean when I say easy. Again, there's that 3 months free. Go to gusto.com/PPS.
Yeah. So after getting clear about the specific type of service that they're looking for, you want to ask them a question so that you can get a good understanding of what the presenting problem is and start to identify what the goals are for therapy. And so you could ask them something like, tell me a little bit more about what you're hoping therapy will accomplish, or tell me about what you're struggling with and what brings you to make this call to want to schedule therapy today.
And then as Kate said, I mean, this is what we want to highlight for you. You already do this. You do this naturally. You do this naturally in a session. It's on your intake packet. You're asking about the presenting problems, right? And then also you're validating, wow, that's got to be really tough. Or yes, many people are having more depression during this pandemic, and that's got to be really difficult. How are you navigating that? Types of things like that. So these are things you already do.
It's also helpful to ask, have you ever seen a therapist before? And if so, what was your experience? And so that way you get an understanding if this is a first timer or if this is someone who's been in therapy their whole life, and they can give you a little information about what was helpful, what wasn't helpful, and you can get more clarity about whether you're going to be the best fit for them and them for you. So asking these types of questions are really helpful because you take charge of the call, like we were saying. It positions you as the expert in the process of therapy. And this is people's first experience with you at what it would be like to work with you. So whether it's you, whether it's your intake call coordinator who's navigating these calls, you want to make sure that you're flowing through it in a way that really gives people that confidence that you're the expert and you're the person that they want to work with, or that clarity that, you know what, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something else. And it's always important to be helpful. Even if the referral doesn't work out for you, being helpful and giving them a referral for somebody else or 3 different referrals for clinicians who may specialize in the area that they need. When you come from that position of being helpful, they remember that. And they might not be able to see you, but maybe their daughter can, or their friend can, or their parents, and they're dealing with a couple relationship difficulty. So we always want to come from that position of being helpful.
Good stuff. The other thing too, that's really important. I know we talked about mistakes last time, but a mistake that clinicians make is explaining themselves in therapy, mumbo jumbo psychobabble. I want you to begin to think about your services as baking a cake, right? Or, making instant rice. When you look on the back of the box, how many instructions are there? How many steps? They're pretty simple. It's usually three or 4 max. And what people are most interested in, they're not interested in, how you utilize DBT and all the ins and outs of that, or CBT, or most often they're not. Now, sometimes, people do call and maybe they're a couple and they've seen 2 other therapists and they're looking for someone who does Imago. Okay, they might be asking, but the general public doesn't really know. You have to get good at explaining the results or the transformations that you help people achieve. And what do I mean by that, right? Is we as consumers buy transformation and results. So if you are looking for someone to renovate your bathroom, you don't want to see it when it's a mess. You want to see what have they done. This is the before, this is the after. So telling people simply what you do by the results that you help people achieve, right? So I always go to couples because that's what Kate and I have done, helping couples communicate more, having deeper intimacy, feeling more connected. Those are the things that people are looking for. I don't go in and explaining all of Gottman and how we go about it and how many sessions and what we do. That's all for the therapy room. So specific results or transformations, usually emotional, that people are going to get results. That's how you help them. Let's just take a quick moment for our sponsor.
Is managing your practice stressing you out? Try Therapy Notes. It makes billing notes, scheduling, and telehealth a whole lot easier. Check it out, and you will quickly see why it's rated the highest EHR on Trustpilot with over 1,000 verified customer reviews and an average customer rating of 4.9 or 5 stars. You'll notice the difference from the first day you sign up for the trial. They offer live phone support 7 days a week. So when you have questions, you can quickly reach someone who can help. You are never wasting time looking for answers. If you're coming from another EHR, they make the transition really easy. Therapy Notes will import your client's demographic data free of charge during your trial so you can get going right away. Use the promo code PPS to get your first 2 months for free, or try out Therapy Notes for free, no strings attached, including their very reliable telehealth platform. Make 2021 the best year yet with Therapy Notes.
So after you've explained this to your potential clients and they are, in their minds or verbally saying, yes, okay, yes, exactly. And you can tell that they seem like you're a great fit. You seem like they're a great fit. And you guys are jiving and you're ready to go ahead and move forward with scheduling. It's good to ask, do you have any more questions before we talk about scheduling? And if they don't have any more questions, you can ask them, are you ready to move forward? Would you like to go ahead and move forward? I'm happy to give you a few options. And then you want to only give them preferably two options for scheduling, but 3 max after you have an idea about what time of day that works best for them. And you've told them when you see clients. You don't want to bend over backwards. We talked about this in part 1 last week. So if you didn't listen to that episode, go back and listen to it. You don't want to bend over backwards for them. You want them to really step up and see you during the available time that you have. And then once you secure them with the schedule, you want to explain to them your system in terms of onboarding for new clients. You won't call it that, but you'll say, let me explain to you what to expect next. So you would give them 1 to 2 next steps. Either they'll receive an email with the intake paperwork from your EHR. They'll need to complete that and input their credit card information and let them know that it'll have the directions to your office and any specific information that you need to explain there. If you have any of those types of systems aspects to onboarding a new client, you want to let them know what to expect. So that way you're taking this full conversation into completing the loop there.
And another thing too is, after you've kind of gone through all of these questions, you've really built value for yourself. They might ask, well, how much are your rates? So you're going to answer that. And again, like we talked about in the previous podcast, is you want to answer your rates if you don't take insurance and then just say nothing, right? And then let them decide. And you also want to just get really clear, if they have any other questions, would you still like to move forward? Great. And then we're going to move on and get scheduled. If they do have questions about your rates or things like that, there's things that you could talk about, the pros and cons of insurance, your expertise, and really help them there, or really just kind of ask, when you were thinking about finding the right therapist for you, who was that, right? So what they'll do is they're going to tell you who that is. And if you've missed anything and you are that, you want to fill that in. Right. So that's really important. And that, again, that is building more value. So Kate really talked about the system and explaining the next steps. And that's really important. At the top of the conversation, we like to let them know that this will take about 10 to 15 minutes, right? I'd like to spend some 10 to 15 minutes with you. We'll walk through your questions, or I have some questions for you. And I'll answer any questions that you have at the end. That really sets the stage to really avoid getting into the session. That's really important. And one of my pet peeves is assure that you're answering your phone as much as possible when you are available for clients. Our clients specifically are in distress. They're anxious. A lot of times it has taken them a lot to call you. I hear so many stories of therapists not calling back for 48 hours. It's really important that you yourself have some type of system. I know for me, my schedule was Monday and Wednesdays from 4 to 9, Thursdays during the day. So there's times that I would go into the office at 4, or start seeing clients, and someone might call at 5 or 6. I would at least call them and acknowledge that I received their message message and I would give them a call later in the afternoon on Thursday when I had some more time to talk to them. Or you maybe have an intake person. So it's really important to get a system around communicating to clients, at least letting them know that you received their message and that you'll call back, because you're at potential of losing a client if you do not respond.
Absolutely. And as you get busier and busier in private practice, we want to encourage you to outsource this. We want to encourage you to delegate this to someone else who can free up more time, because what you're going to pay a virtual assistant or a client care coordinator compared to your hourly rate and the amount of time that you actually spend on the phone with clients, it's a no-brainer. It frees up a ton of time and energy for you to focus on other aspects of the business. So being able to have an actual call script that you follow that is extremely effective is so helpful for you. And it's so incredibly helpful as you're training the person who's going to take over this aspect of your business. So if you're a group practice owner or a solopreneur, it really doesn't matter. Once you get to the point where your caseload's getting busier and busier and you need to outsource this, it's important to find the right person and train them really well. Do lots of role playing, and have mock sessions, you call or another clinician calls, and you really want to be able to have this fine-tuned and streamlined so that it gives potential clients that become actual clients the best possible experience with you, your brand, and your company culture. Because if they have a wonderful experience from the get-go, and then a wonderful experience with you in therapy, they're going to go out and they're going to become raving fans. They're going to send people your way, and it's going to really help fuel your marketing. So it all ties in together.
Awesome. So we hope that you enjoyed this. And again, don't forget, if you didn't listen to the Mistakes podcast, go back and check that out. And also too, if you're wanting to learn more really about how to master the initial call, we want to encourage you to grab our client converting call script. And we're also going to put a coupon code so you can grab it for $59. The coupon is more clients. Regularly, it's $197. We want to help you master this. And it comes with a course, a video. So definitely grab that. And we want to hear how it's working for you. We'll go ahead and put that in the show notes. So just grab that, click on that link. And we hope that you join us next time as we chat with Lambers Fisher. What a hoot. This guy was full of energy. It was a great podcast. And we talked about an important topic about what happens when your values and your clients' values clash. So join us on that podcast.
Startup Nation, we hope you enjoyed this 2-part series on mastering the intake call with new clients. We want to encourage you to subscribe, rate, and review our show. You can do so on our show notes page at the website, privatepracticestartup.com. And then, of course, share with your friends and fellow colleagues who may benefit from this particular episode. We will look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.